Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Now this one is probably going to be a little bit shorter, like by this much, because as you can see I do already have my base on. It's actually been sitting on my face for probably an hour now because I realized when I was getting ready to film that I had forgotten to actually empty my SD card, so I was waiting for all that data to transfer. But today I'm going to find out if I'm an idiot because I could not resist treating myself. Funny fact was I initially was going to skip on the blush entirely because it sold out, and I was like, oh well, Chanel is always very limited with their collections and so it's probably not going to come back. Well, then it popped up on Macy's and I'm gonna go run and get it like right now. So I did. I got it online, of course. Here's the blush. Fingerprint central plastic packaging with the interlocked C logo, and then the brush is on the inside, and when you open it you're gonna see that this is where the brush can sit on. It's just this little plastic thing here, and it actually comes out, and then there is the blush. There is a slight fragrance. It is, I don't know fragrances very well, but I'm guessing it's some kind of Chanel fragrance. So I got the mauve shade, the one that sold out the fastest, and I got that on Macy's. I don't know if it is in stock at the time this video is going up. I wouldn't be surprised if the answer to that is no. The thing that intrigued me the most, and this is going to be the first two things I've ever used from Chanel, period. Okay, just bear that in mind. I've never ever owned Chanel makeup before this because like it just seems so expensive. But the thing that really pulled me in first, besides that mauve blush shade, was the loose shadows. Something about them just really drew me in. And when I finally got a chance to actually go to, I had an excuse to go to the mall that has the Nordstrom that has the Chanel counter. It was Go Fest and it was getting really hot. So I moved from the park to the mall so that I wouldn't like melt. And I swatched all of the loose shadows, and aside from the darkest one, I was amazed. And if I had the money for it, I honestly would have loved to get every single shade except the ones I didn't want. So I would have loved to have gotten, there were like 4 that I really wanted. I would have loved to have all 4. Now the one thing I do know was mentioned to me by others who have used these already is don't apply the product from the applicator directly. Don't do that to yourself. You're in for a very bad time if that happens. Now, I did my face already. That may have been a mistake. Usually for loose shadows, going in with your eyes first isn't always a good idea, but I'm just always in the habit of it. Now, I don't really have any true eye primer on today. I just have like the Shy Banana Conceal Eye Cream, setting spray, whatever, and then like whatever excess foundation was on my sponge, I just kind of tapped it on my eyelids. So very light, minimal product is on my eyelid right now, which I think should be good. So this is the loose shadow. It's in the shade 412. It is really pretty, and when I swatched it I was like, this is definitely the one I'd love to go for. But as I mentioned, I really liked like all of them. It's just that these are like stupid expensive. Now it's plastic, but I will say it's very weighty. It feels very luxe, unlike this, which feels very light. So, you know, most of the value comes from this guy up here and this guy in here. So I'm gonna try this loose shadow first, and then I'm gonna use the blush, and that's really honestly gonna be all that this video is about. And we're gonna see if this was a mistake. Now, am I gonna buy more Chanel makeup after this? I don't know. That's an unknown factor. Now, I am kind of getting some eyeshadow falling onto my desk, so definitely kind of a messy product. I feel like maybe I should have like applied some to the back of my hand first. Maybe it'd be easier to go from my hand. I just stuck the brush straight on the applicator and then I kind of tapped off the excess. I'm using a Bisciotto brush. I got this off of Food Japan, FUDEJAPAN. So as you can see, it's like kind of messy on the brush, so I'm just going to kind of use my hand to grab any excess particles, and I'm just applying very thin, even layers so that I don't make a mess on my eyelid. And obviously this is like definitely just a one and done kind of eyeshadow, but I'm probably going to go into some other shades. The makeup at the end of this year, like the second half of this year, makeup releases are like popping. Like I can't be the only one who feels this way, right? Press it down nice and smooth, and then I'm just going to start blending it out. This is like a flatter, denser brush, which is what I thought would be better for this. I don't know if it's necessarily like worth however much I paid for it. It was like what, like 40 plus dollars? Okay, you know, actually scratch that. I cannot be that much of a clown because this is still cheaper than a Chantecaille single, so if it's not as bad as a Chantecaille single, is it really that expensive? Question mark. Like, I feel like after you buy makeup from Chantecaille, your value of everything else is just completely screwed up forever. It is so smooth and it just like has the perfect satin sheen that like I like. So that's why when I swatched it, after I swatched it, I really knew that I was gonna want it. I'm gonna blend it out later, trust me. I'm just trying to get the initial layer laid down first. Taking it from the applicator is a little bit messy though, because I am getting eyeshadow falling onto the onto my desk. So I will say the only downside to this really is just that like truly it is messy and I just don't really see a way to like unmessify it. I'm gonna take what's left on the brush and sweep that across the lower lash line. And as you can see, there is still a significant amount of product left on the bristles. I will admit I am very self-conscious about my eyelids these days. I feel like they've gotten so wrinkly so fast, like I feel like I'm aging and I hate it. So it could also just be me being paranoid and being way too overly like picky about my eyelid wrinkles. But it is very pretty, but my desk did have, like, I am having to like wipe powder off my desk because every time I open and unscrew and rescrew, some eyeshadow will kind of dust off the neck of the bottle and fall onto the desk. That's kind of like my only real like problem with this product, is that it is messy. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Okay, so I'm going to blend this out and I'm going to use a different shade for that. So I'm trying to think, what do I want to use? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use this shade here. This is the Florasis palette Engraving Phoenix Soaring Sunlight. I'm gonna use this shade here to blend it out. I think this shade will have, this is the exact shade of brown that I'm looking for, and I am in the process of testing out this palette because I received it in PR. So this is a good chance for me to use it. I love this palette. The quality of this palette is legit insane. If you prefer more sheer buildable shadows, then this palette is literally like made for you. You see the difference now. And the Bordeaux pigments themselves are also still continuing to be willing to move and shift around on my eyelid as I blend. So it's not like I'm having to use this brown shade to create a gradation. This brown shade, as I blend it in with the Bordeaux itself is still blending. Like, it's not like it's like patchy or resistant to blending or anything like that. I just had laid it down really, really thick with a packing brush first, and then I blend later, which is generally how I approach my eye looks. And I'm not really caring to be super, super precise because this is such a soft, blown out eye look. Okay, yeah, this is a beautiful shade of brown. I can really blow this out so far down the lower lash line and it looks so good. I do have, I have pimples and stuff around my nose, so just ignore those. Okay, and I'm going to go back into the Chanel shadow very carefully. One last layer. It is a true loose shadow, like there's no moisture, cream, or oil or anything. It is just a loose shadow. But yeah, as pretty as this color is, I will say the packaging does make this an extreme inconvenience to try and travel with. This would just explode and go everywhere, so this is definitely going to be one of those it stays at home kind of products. But it is so pretty. It reminds me of the Auric shade, but it's a lot less red, and honestly I like this one better. Okay, so to top that off, I'm going to show you, I've already used the mint shade in other videos, so I'm going to show you guys Solar Wind from the Bobbi Brown collection, the summer collection. Coral Pink Gold, and put it kind of close to the inner corner. Okay, that worked, but it definitely is not as precise as I wish it was, so now that I have not wasted the product that was on my finger, I'm switching back to using a brush. These Bobbi Brown shadows, they do look the best with the finger, but they have always, for me, been very versatile and easy to use just about anything with, so that's why I'm using a brush, because I need the precision. This one is a lot less sparkly, and it's a lot more of just like a smooth shimmer compared to the mint one, which is much more of that translucent sparkle. I kind of wish they were reversed. They're both still really pretty either way. I am such a sucker for the Luxe singles from Bobbi Brown. I will shamelessly admit that I collect them like little gemstones. I got turned on to them first by Pony of all places, but when I actually got my hands on one, it was one of those instances where like she was not lying. It is a gorgeous formula. I don't have all of them, of course, and there's a lot of really old limited edition ones that I just will never have a chance at getting, but most of them, of course, I got on like sale. These are the only two that I've actually ever gotten full price. I definitely will use this in like you know, to feature on its own so that it's a little bit more like you can really appreciate the shift. I'm just using a little bit of it right now. Okay, so definitely not the brightest inner corner I've ever had, considering, because you know, you can kind of see the cast going on, but I don't mind. I honestly really like it. I think it's really cute. The last thing I'm going to do for the eyes besides eyeliner is I'm going to do something on the lower lash line because I feel like I need something there. I think I'm gonna try using the middle shade in this Phoenix palette, see if I can use that today. It gives me the golden shift I want, but it's not sparkly. It's more of like that smooth metallic, so it's still not gonna fit. What I'm going to do instead, because I actually just realized I have not used these in a really long time, and I've been meaning to. So this is the old packaging. They come in a new packaging now, which I just got one of the shades in the new packaging to add to my collection from the 21 Days of Beauty. So the new packaging matches the matte paints and the color of the glitter is what's on the tube. The old one was in these like kind of like fruit punch almost like baggies. I definitely think changing to this packaging was a great idea because now they match and you can see like I love that the color of the tube is what's inside, and it's a lot easier to store than these things. So I have a couple colors in this packaging, and I thought about during 21 Days of Beauty rebuying them in the new packaging, but it honestly would just be such a waste of money because these are perfectly functional. There's no reason for me to get rid of them. They're fine. So this is Tin Pan Alley. You do get quite a lot of playtime with the fractal glitters. They do, because you know, they don't really have that much base pigment to them, so you can really just kind of spread them around. I think I did put on a little bit too much, but that was my bad. And then I am going to take a little bit, and I'm going to make sure I only use a little bit just right on top of my the innermost part of the inner corner. Kind of just go over all of this very quickly and subdue it a little bit more. I used to use the word sophisticated to describe shadows. I don't do that anymore because it means nothing. This Chanel shadow is very beautiful. It's very smooth. It's very easy. I had a really easy time using the brush to the applicator, but it does get a little bit messy. The little foam tip applicator, it barely fits in the neck of the tube. So when you screw it back in, if you were to take it all the way out and then screw it back in, the loose pigment that is built around the applicator will be pushed up and overflow onto the neck of the tube. That is where you will start seeing eyeshadow fall onto your desk and a mess will be made. So when I was lifting it up to tap my brush to it, I wasn't actually lifting the applicator all the way out of the tube. I would just barely lift it up enough that my brush can reach in there and grab some. So loose shadows should not come with stupid applicators like this that are effectively unusable. The best packaging for a loose eyeshadow obviously is just some kind of jar. Like if it had been a twist jar that was this long but with no applicator in it, like if I could take this and just cut the applicator off, I think I would be happier. So that's my only criticism. The packaging is beautiful, the gradient, I love that, but the little inside foam thing, that's why it's so messy. It's all the fault of that stupid little foam applicator, which is just the dumbest idea ever. Seems not like something Chanel should do because it's just so stupid, and like Chanel usually tries to make it seem like all of their design choices are necessary and superior, but then they like did this, which is, it's just foolish in my opinion. So, but that's my opinion. So I am going to go ahead and put on some mascara, and then I'll be back to discuss the blush. I'll finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to just try some mascara and see how far I could push this look without having to put on lashes. And I got temporarily distracted because I started playing Monster Hunter Now, which may or may not be the worst decision I've made in my life because that game is like kind of fun. My lashes look, at the very least, they're visible, so we'll go with that. The eyeliner that I'm going to use today is an eyeliner that I actually have recently discovered, and it has become a very fast favorite. It is the 3CE Mildly Black, the Soft Mute Pencil Liner. As the name implies, the color Mildly Black. It is so hard for me to describe, but it is just the perfect, it's black but it's not black. It doesn't come off as like it's trying to be black and it fails. It gives the similar impression of a black liner, but it's not black. Now, these do not blend very readily. You literally have to be like on it, and like the millisecond after you finish applying it, you have to be on it blending for it to blend. I tried, it didn't work. So I just treat these as gel liners, and for that purpose they work just fine. Oh, Melody's in the background. She says hi. Hi, Melody! Melody! Because you'd have to take like a really firm, almost like eyebrow brush, and then you can kind of like make it pointy at the end, but that's about the extent of it. And then I am going to go ahead and put it on the inner corner as well. My only qualm with this eyeliner is that it is a little bit dry. Like, it's not super creamy soft like the Victoria Beckham one is, where the pigment just comes onto your skin with minimal effort. You do kind of have to rub in there. That's like my only criticism of it, but it does last forever, and the color is so pretty that I'm willing to forgive it. Melody! What you doing? Oh. She's still small enough that she can actively fit on my desk without being a nuisance, so she gets away with everything. Melody wants attention right now. I can tell. She smells the fragrance on the Chanel blush packaging and she keeps smelling the blush. You can't have that. No, but you are a very good girl, Melody. As you can see, the eyeliner has added a lot of really nice just definition. Like, it just kind of made the look a lot more sharper and clean, which is what I like. Okay, so the Chanel blush shade that I got is the shade 798. So it's the mauve one. Okay, so I'm going to try first using a Rephr 24 on this blush. Very, very sweet perfume. I do not like sweet scents. I like woody scents. Okay, so I just picked up on the brush, and you can see here, because of the fact that I went like the whole pan, see how there's like a strip here? So I'm afraid that this is going to cause my blush to become patchy. Ooh, that's a lot of pigment. It's kind of like, it's so desaturated to the point where it almost pulls kind of gray. Well, actually no, that blended out really well. Okay, so you can see that I was able to get it to become a very sheer blush. As you can see, there is a very delicate and subtle glow. The foundation I used today was the Armani Power Fabric Plus, so I definitely know for a fact that this glow is coming from the blush because that foundation is pretty matte. So I'm gonna tap in a lot lighter on the other side. You know, it's interesting, if I tapped in lighter on the other side and I'm having a harder time blending, so I'm gonna use a little bit more. These are some pretty heavy duty, this is like a heavy duty formula. Like, you really can just, like, it's almost like you kind of have to just use your brush to like really drag it up and around your face. Like, just gentle stippling motions is not going to move the pigments, but it does distribute very evenly. It's definitely a shade I don't have in my collection yet, which is why I was so drawn to this blush. So it fills a hole in my collection. Really connecting it to my eyeshadow. It is a very pretty shade and I do like the formula so far. Of course I'll see how it wears in subsequent wears and everything. Like, this isn't like the end all be all, but I'm glad it ended up blending out better than I thought it did, because when I first saw it on the brush I was like, but it actually ended up working out. So I'm gonna just delicately put everything back together. I'm going to use California Love. This is my favorite shade of the Too Faced watercolor flush blushes, which never quite made it to the USA officially. I did actually find this specific shade in a TJ Maxx, but I've never seen it ever again. This is a warm beige blush. It'll just warm up the blush a little bit, especially on the inner part of my face. And I'm using a very loose brush, so it's honestly gonna barely make a difference. It's gonna barely show up. Yeah, you can kind of tell, especially in the inner part of my face where I applied it. And I'm not going to use bronzer or contour today, so this beige blush is also going to go in the perimeters of my face. Okay, so the next thing I need is a highlighter. Now, I have dreamed of owning a Chanel highlighter for years. I don't know when that day will be, because they are the really pretty flowery limited edition ones that I always like, that also sell out very quickly and never come back, are usually like $80+. So it stands to reason, therefore, that I don't have one yet. But maybe someday I'll see a shade that really speaks to me and I'll actually have like makeup budget and I can get it, but today is not that day, so I'm not going to be using a Chanel highlighter. Sorry to disappoint you, but I have plenty of other equally beautiful highlighters I can use. Today I'm actually going to use what I consider to be, I don't even know if this is still available anymore, but if it is, this is so underrated. It is Clinique Lunar Pop. I'm going to use this today, and I just use my finger and I just dab a little bit on my cheeks. This has the exact same kind of formula as the Cheek Pops, doesn't feel like a pressed powder. It doesn't have any kick up or anything like that in the pan. This is a little bit too dark for my nose, but I can get away with it sometimes. Like, I do have a zit like literally right where the highlighter is, but whatever. So this video actually ended up being absurdly long because I took more time to talk about products since I was using less of them in the video. So joke's on me, I thought this video would be shorter. No Chanel lipstick over here. So first things first, I'm going to use a lip liner. I've been really enjoying using the Romande Lip Mate Pencil in Dovey Pink. I was thinking to myself that this look would go perfectly with this one shade. I've already worn this a couple times and I love this formula, but I don't even know the brand. I'm so embarrassed. It's this, I just know that I got this while I was in China and it's in the shade LO2, and I tried to find it, but I don't know what it's called. Is it not just like the perfectest rose shade ever that you've ever seen? Like, it lasted several hours on me and I was drinking from a water bottle and it had no transfer to the water bottle. Like, what? Okay, my hair is extra frizzy today because it is so stinking humid outside. This is going to be my finished look, so just mascara, so not quite as dramatic as I usually go. I don't really have much else to say. I had a good time using these Chanel products, thankfully. I liked both of them actually a lot, and so I don't feel like a clown, and I don't think I wasted my money. So I am happy to report that I like both of them on first glance, and I will have to see in subsequent uses if I like the wear time. I know it's probably of complete and total irrelevance because Chanel, these limited edition collections, they sell out and then they don't come back, so I don't really see the point of it, but I am trying to bring back speed reviews so that I can like actually talk about the stuff I use. So for accountability and principle's sake, I will mention these later. I think Chanel would probably be embarrassed to know that I am using their products and talking on camera looking like this, talking like this, but that's not my problem. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. As for my opinions on Chanel's like clothing and bags and stuff like that, I mean, they are cute. I am super weak for Chanel tweed. I will readily admit that I would love to own a cute little pastel blue tweed kind of jacket crop situation. If I had the money, that would be one thing I would try and go for from them, is like the tweed. I do love me some Chanel tweed, but it's alright. Personally, for bags, if I could have one dream luxury handbag, I would actually go for YSL instead, which I know they're not called YSL anymore, but I cannot for the life of me pronounce the name in full. That was what I would actually personally prefer. Specifically, the Cassandra bag is like the one that I like the most if I could buy any of them, or the ABC Dior My Lady Dior bag. That one is like apparently kind of a classic design, so either one of those would kind of be what I would go for over Chanel. I'll be honest, I do like my makeup look. I did like the makeup I used, and I am very happy, which is all that really matters. So thank you guys for watching this very disorganized late night video where I tried on random stuff and then talked about it for a really long time. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video and I'll be a little bit less of a mess inside and out. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.